and call this meeting to order, it being the 3 o'clock hour. And glad to have everyone here today. I'm going to ask Senator Rhett if he would lead us in the prayer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Lord, we thank you for this day, another opportunity to do the people's work. Give us the wisdom, guidance, and fortitude to move forward in order to help the citizens of our community. And give us that wisdom that you always give us when it comes time to make a good decision. We ask these things through Christ the Lord. Amen.
Amen. So we've got one bill on the calendar for a hearing today. I'm getting over a little bit of a cold, so if I start coughing, the vice chair is going to have to take over here. And I work in a hospital all year, don't stay healthy. I come down here, all this handshaking. And every year I get sick, except for one or two when we weren't doing that. So there might be a correlation there. I don't know. Anyway, Senator Islam, if you want to come forward and present your bill. Let's see. You going to use that mic there?
I can. Oh, okay.
Let me make sure here we're all looking at the right LC number. I've got 432571. Is that correct?
It is LC 432571.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and the members of the committee for hearing this bill. I'm proud to present SB 51. Senate Bill 51 seeks to exempt the state sales tax on menstrual products in Georgia, which are products with the primary medical purposes of absorbing or capturing menstrual flow, including but not limited to tampons, menstrual pads, sanitary napkins, panty liners, period underwear, and menstrual cups. This bill would eliminate the 4% state sales tax on menstrual products. The bill is amending Chapter 8 of Title 48 relating to sales and use tax so as to exempt the sale or use of certain menstrual products. And the reason, if you look at the bill, the reason the bill inserts language into this particular section is that it should be included with other non-prescription medical items, specifically diabetic materials. Menstrual products are considered non-prescription medical devices by the FDA. And of the non-prescription medical devices listed by the FDA, menstrual products are the most used. This bill moves to correct the Georgia tax code to also include menstrual products, a necessary medical device, in the sales tax exemption. The following are currently exempt from the sales tax: groceries, prescription drugs, and personal medical devices, which also include candy, sodas, and Viagra. Only 22 states still tax menstrual products, which is down from 40 states since 2016. In the South, Louisiana and Florida have passed legislation to eliminate the sales tax on menstrual products. So in May 2017, Florida Governor Rick Scott signed a law making period products tax exempt. So Florida's already done it. And in June 2021, Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards signed a bill making period products tax exempt as well. So I know that there isn't a fiscal note on this bill. However, Senate research pulled some numbers from the Department of Audits and Accounts. The estimated savings for women and girls next year would be $6.1 million. This pivotal measure would cost Georgia less than 0.01 of the state budget. And it was also in 2020 when Georgia first recognized menstrual products as a medical necessity through the allocation of $1.5 million for the purchase and distribution of these products in our low-income communities. Georgia was a leader in this space. Our work here today is to ensure that Georgia follows through on this promise in its tax code, ending the unjustified sales tax on these medical necessities for women. So, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, I would like to ask for your favorable consideration, and I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for your presentation, Senator. But I have one question. Why is it that products for women are currently taxed?
So I think it was because it was an oversight, because menstrual products are a necessity. Like, women can't go without them. I carry, a tampon everywhere I go because women have menstrual cycles every month of their life. And, it's important that we make sure that menstrual products are tax exempt, because look, we have groceries, we have prescription drugs that are already tax exempt. We currently, Viagra is tax exempt as well. On average, a woman will go through 16,000 tampons in her entire life because they're a necessity. I don't think any man will ever need 16,000 pills of Viagra. So I just think that it's a good measure to help women, and it's fair that we include menstrual products in the exemption of the sales tax.
All right, Vice Chairman Albers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Senator, for bringing this bill. You had referenced the $6.1 million. Do you know what that is per person, what that savings would be?
I don't have that number for you, but I can get it for you.
That'd be
after the
great.
committee.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Senator Orrock.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to thank Senator Islam for bringing the bill. And I had 2 or 3 questions. One is, I have heard and would like your confirmation that Texas is either looking at this measure or has already removed sales tax from menstrual products.
Yes, I believe, yes. We've heard that the governor is looking at tax exempting menstrual products in the state of Texas.
And is it true, what did I hear you say, that's 30 states that are now already doing the exemption?
So it is 20, it is, I can tell you right now, right here. 23 states have already passed legislation to exempt
23.
menstrual products from sales tax. 5 states do not have a sales tax, so in total, 28 states do not tax period products, and Georgia has the opportunity to become the 29th state.
And isn't it true, and you didn't mention this, but anecdotally, there are young women, teenagers, of their reproductive cycle has begun, and they literally cannot go to school during that time of the month because their household income doesn't allow the purchase of menstrual products.
Correct. So Georgia needs to be a leader and making sure that we make these menstrual products affordable, especially for low-income families. And it's a necessity, as I mentioned before. And other states have already exempted it, states that are Republican-led and Democratic-led. So, and I know that this bill has come up 4 other times before, and I feel that this is a year that we can get this done and provide tax relief for women and girls.
That's one final question, and you may not realize this, but when Viagra came on the market, within less than 6 weeks, it was approved, they put $50 million in the federal budget for Viagra for the troops, which is an example of a medical product that is useful for men. These are medical products that are essential for women. Isn't that the case?
And it's absolutely the case. In order for women and girls to be their fullest self, we need to use menstrual products.
All right, I gave you 4 questions, Senator Orrock.
Thank you
I need
so
to-
much, Mr. Chair.
I need to move on
You
here.
are always a generous chair, and I appreciate you.
Senator Estevez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Senator Islam, thank you so much for bringing this very important matter to our attention and for advocating this. Can you talk about the impacts of the regressive nature of the tax and why it would benefit particularly women and children in rural and urban low-income communities where any kind of tax adds a burden, but particularly when you're talking about necessities that you buy literally every month?
No, absolutely. So 1 in 4 students miss school due to the lack of access to menstrual products. Families already need to make choices about how to feed, clothe, and provide for their families. Period products are expensive. Women in this room, as you can, wow, there's a lot of women in this room. So we know how expensive menstrual products are, and people will ration them, and it is difficult, especially for low-income families, to make sure that they have enough menstrual products. And sometimes if you don't have the menstrual products that you need, maybe you're rationing them and you're using maybe 2 when you should be using 4 or 5 a day, and that leads to infections, and that's why girls miss school. And we need to make sure that, Georgia's a leader in advocating for relief. This is only so in fiscal year 2024, Georgia women and girls will save 6.1 million. It is a mere 0.01% of revenue, and it will have the biggest impact on lower income families.
Mr. Chairman, if I
Yeah.
may
go ahead.
quickly follow up with that, just wanted to highlight the fact that when we provided menstrual products in Atlanta Public Schools for students free of charge, that was a significant step that the school system took in response to our families and our women and girls telling us that was something that they valued. It was because of state and federal dollars that we were allowed to do that, which was greatly appreciated. But this would certainly be an extension
It
of
would be.
that.
I mean, this is about fairness, right? We shouldn't be making more money off of the backs of women and girls because they have to have periods every month. And I believe that, 28 states already, don't already tax menstrual products. Georgia can certainly be the 29th state.
All right, Senator Dolezal.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Whoa, hello. Senator, I was not aware of this, but I found out today, actually, that CVS, I guess it was last year, took the step of lowering the price of these products in all of their stores by 25%. And it is also, on top of the 25% reduction, they are also paying the tax for women in Georgia. So I'm curious, functionally, if you know how that works, meaning how is it that they're paying the tax? Did they reduce the prices an additional number beyond the 25%? And then I would also be curious, frankly, to know, and I don't expect you to know this, but it's just more so a question maybe you could look into, is what percentage of our population lives within, call it a 15-mile radius of a CVS where the tax would already be paid for? Because I think if we could allow private entities to pay for this, it's better than the state paying for it.
Yeah, I will look into the what you said about the CVS stores, and we'll get back to you about that, and also the 50-mile radius question of how far people live from a CVS.
Sure.
I'm not asking this question with knowing the answer, which is probably a mistake. But I'm curious if any other chains have followed CVS in that step that they had taken to lower prices and pay the taxes as well. I'll look into that myself as well, and if I find anything, I'll let you know.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, I believe it was October that CVS did this in the last year that said on their products with their name on it, that they would pay the tax themselves. In addition, they reduced the pricing to help out. I know there was also money that had been given to public health to help out giving out product to those that couldn't afford it. And so I think we're doing things that are helpful.
Yeah.
In other words, the people that not only does it save them the sales tax, but they actually haven't even had to pay for the product. Some of those that could least afford it. So I know there's things work in that area. Senator Cowser, I believe, is next.
Does the state constitution allow you in a revenue bill in the Senate rather than the House?
So according to Section 5, Paragraph 2 of the state constitution, which says, all bills for raising revenue or appropriating money shall originate in the House of Representatives. It doesn't, so this bill that you have in front of you, this bills that raise revenue are supposed to originate in the House, but this is a bill that does not confer any new taxes.
So we can start any tax cuts that we'd like to here in the Senate, any exemptions, any, revamping of the income tax, et cetera. Anything reduces revenue, we can start and only they can raise it.
Well, I'll get back to you on that, but that's why I brought this bill to this committee.
Yeah, I've looked into that some myself, and there's different opinions on it. Those in the House don't have the same opinion, so sometimes they are. they aren't in favor of that, so it may not, whether we think so or not, it may not get a hearing over there if they don't think it's constitutional. I think Senator Eccles was next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Islam, you said when you were originally speaking that female students are not going to school because they don't have access to products. Is that correct?
Yes.
So why do they not have access to the products?
Because they're having to, their families aren't able to afford the products that they need, and also it's more expensive for a lot of families. And so, and in a lot of ways, they're also rationing these products as well. And so the state has been a leader in being able to allocate money in the budget to help with this. This bill in front of us today is to make sure that we also remove the sales tax off of menstrual products so that we make it fair because menstrual products are deemed a medical necessity, and it's correcting the tax code.
Okay, but we do appropriate funds to schools to help with low-income students have
Yeah.
access to those products as well.
Yes, so I have it right here. So for fiscal year 2023, nearly 1.5 million is allocated toward feminine products in schools.
Okay.
And the funds are allocated for students in grades 5 through 12.
Thank you.
All right, we've got Senator Beach, I believe.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a question for Senator Estevez. When APS implemented that program, did y'all see a reduction in absenteeism?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Senator, I unfortunately don't know the answer to that, but I do know that when we first authorized it a few years ago, it was a program that we continued because of the demand that we heard about from our school leaders. So that's the only thing I can attest to.
All right. I don't see any more questions. I know we've got someone signed up to speak, and we'll hear from them. I would ask that we not say the same thing. We get sometimes people in here that keep saying the same thing over and over, so we would be looking for new information not covered. You're welcome to stay there, and they can come up here. Let's see. Somebody took my sign-up sheet, I believe. Okay, we've got Claire Cox here from Georgia, STOMP, Stomp, I guess is your organization.
Thank you.
Let me turn your mic on.
Do I push this button? Or I think it's on.
It's on.
Okay, so sorry. Good afternoon, Chairman Hufstetler and committee members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today regarding Senate Bill 51. My name is Claire Cox, and I am with the statewide coalition Georgia Stomp. We are an expanding group of 31 organizations with a reach of more than 85,000 in the state, formed to address the issues of menstrual equity and period poverty. I want to say right now, and I know that this has already been a part of the discussion, but that menstrual equity and period poverty are separate, although intertwined issues with the common theme of menstruation. I make the analogy, I'm a tree farmer. I may not look like it, but I'm a tree farmer in Dodge County. And I liken it to when Georgia Forestry Association's up here. And sometimes they're talking about trucking issues, and sometimes they're talking about planting issues, or after a natural disaster or whatever. So there are different issues, even though the common theme here is menstruation. Georgia has been a leader in addressing period poverty. Our state was the first, and I'm very proud of this, the first to allocate period product funds for schools, and Atlanta Public School Systems has benefited from that, and school systems all over the state have. Before that, we know for a fact that nurses in schools were paying for the products for schools 68% of the time. That's how kids were staying in school. We've got school nurse surveys. We work really closely with Georgia Department of Education. So if you want more data on that, I can help with that, and I have more data on that. But despite our efforts over the last 6 years that we've been working on this in Georgia, Georgia still assesses a 4% sales tax on menstrual products. Since we began this work in 2017, and I'm sorry I am repeating a couple of things, but the number of states in the U.S. has doubled that has exempted these products. It is now, as Senator Islam said, 28 states. And I have the list. I don't know if I have enough for all of y'all, but I'd love for everybody to have a list of all the states that are exempted in the country. In a year when Georgia is experiencing a budget surplus, and at a time when many legislators in our state thinks it's important to show support for women and families, we believe 2023 is the year that Georgia finally joins this growing list. Georgia Stomp believes the sales tax is discriminatory to women based on the Equal Protection Clause of the Constitution. There is no male equivalent to this. These are not optional purchases. They are Class 1 and 2 medical devices about which women have no choice to use and are necessary for good health. As you're aware, Georgia does not assess sales tax on food and prescriptions. Additionally, as you've heard, there's a limited number of non-prescription items. We mentioned this because it's been concerned that this is going to set a precedent in the code. This is not going to set a precedent in the code for tax exemptions. We already have products in our code that don't require prescriptions that are analogous to these products. Menstrual products should be exempt from state taxes like groceries, prescriptions, personal medical devices, hearing aids, and prosthetics. And we know, and this is not, it's not anything wrong that they didn't, but the folks that gave those exemptions at the time they gave them just didn't think about this. We've talked to them. We know that this just didn't come up at the time. Perhaps if it would have, they would have made that change at that time. We've talked to everybody that was in the room then and have found that out. Please hear the voices of your constituents who are asking for help to get this done. I'm going to end with saying I have relatives all over the state. I live in Macon. My family's down in Tift County. I got land in Dodge County. My daughter lives in Glenn County. We've got cousins in Ben Hill. We are all shades of red and blue in our family. I have a daughter who lives in D.C. who does not have to pay taxes on the products she buys. I have a first grade school teacher that lives in Glenn County, and she does. Does it really make sense that she could drive 45 minutes to Florida and buy her products without paying taxes? I don't think so. I hope you don't think so. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. Please end this discrimination and get it done. Thank you.
All right, thanks for your testimony. We've got several others, so y'all try to keep it to 2 or 3 minutes if you can so we can get to everybody. Catherine Dent, doesn't say what organization you're with. If you'd come up, tell us who you are and who you're with.
Before I begin, I want to thank you all for allowing my voice to be heard today. My name is Catherine Dent, and I'm a current senior at North Gwinnett High School. This year, I founded a chapter of the nonprofit organization Period at my high school. Period is focused upon eradicating period poverty and menstrual stigma through the 3 pillars: service, education, and advocacy. This experience has fueled my passion for the menstrual movement. I want to make it clear that period poverty is a public health crisis. When women cannot afford menstrual products, it forces them to resort to unsanitary methods like rags, paper towels, and socks, or ration their products and use them for extended periods of time. 51% of students have worn period products for longer than recommended, and nearly 1 in 4 students have struggled to afford period products in the United States. Taxes make it more difficult and costly for women and girls to access the necessity that is period products. To put things into perspective, products like Viagra and Rogaine, which treat erectile dysfunction and baldness, are considered medically necessary and exempt from state sales tax. In short, the state of Georgia subsidizes a man's appearance, but not a woman's hygiene needs. If a woman had to set out of daily activities during her period, she would sacrifice an estimated of 8.7 years of her life, which is exactly what happens when there's a lack of affordability for period products. So I ask you, are you willing to spare 0.01% of our state budget in order to raise up and support women across the state? I'm raising my voice and taking action against period poverty because no one should have to miss out on life because of a period.
All right, thank you for your testimony. We've got some late ads here. Lauren Walter with Ignite.
Hello. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and committee members. My name is Lauren Walter, and I thank you for allowing me to speak today in support of Senate Bill 51. In order to address menstrual equity in Georgia, we must eliminate the state sales tax on menstrual products. Menstrual products are listed by the FDA as medical devices. Medical devices are not a luxury, and all of us know that menstruation is an essential part of the lives of more than half of Georgia's population. Passing this bill would show that Georgia recognizes the menstrual hygiene and is crucial to the well-being of women. I proudly serve my community through Ignite National, partner of Georgia Stomp, and a 501c3 organization that is helping build the next generation of political leaders. At Ignite, we promote a world where young women own their political power and utilize their voices. We have shown that it is possible when young women are given the tools they need to step up in their communities. Ignite Women contact their elected representatives at least 3 times the rate of their peers, and we advocate policy solutions to legislators at 5 times the rate of our peers. By excluding menstrual products from the sales tax, Georgia would be promoting gender equity and encouraging our women to live their day-to-day lives and be civically and politically engaged. Please vote favorably on Senate Bill 51. Thank you.
All right, we appreciate you coming here and giving your testimony. We've got Renee, I'm sorry, I think that's Nima Zagel, sorry about that. Did I say that right?
Good afternoon.
My name is Nima Zayed. I'm a constituent of Alpharetta, Georgia myself. I'm here today in representation of all women. Once every month, Mother Nature knocks at our door, which can be a bittersweet 5 to 7 days. If you're disciplined enough to eat and do things that benefit your body, your flow will be lighter. Otherwise, if you're living the American dream lifestyle, you're usually eating fast food, which causes you to have a heavier flow. Now that you have this picture in your mind, I'd like men to imagine bleeding from their genitals for a week. And keep in mind, if you don't eat or live a very balanced lifestyle, that comes with an indescribable pain from the abdomen. Maybe a week or 2 prior to that period, you start to feel your emotions in an intense manner. However, if you listen closely, your body will tell you, hey, our eggs are about to drop. Go get your menstruating products if you haven't already. Whereas, some young girls don't know when this period will knock at their door, which can be a heart-wrenching, traumatic moment depending on how fast she can get to those menstruating products. Outside of the inflation with food, menstruating products are already too expensive, especially if you're conscious about what you digest. Believe it or not, a lot of the cheaper menstruating products come with a lot of toxic ingredients that are not safe for the human body. On top of these factors, can you imagine another taxation? It sounds like bad business to me. And if we're really being honest, it sounds like manipulation, because you all know these products are a necessity. I say find something else to tax on, like Viagra. Enough with the capitalism, enough with the war on women. We made you all, we created you all. Have a great day.
Thank you for your testimony. All right, and then we've got Kiera Stratford, I believe is the name, if you want to come up.
Thank you all so much for taking the time. It's all right, cool, thank you. I was signaling how quick this could be. I want to thank you all for taking the time for speaking with us today on this really important issue. My name's Kristen. I am a healthcare organizer, and this topic of period taxation and poverty organically came up for me in the field. I was in Daugherty County speaking to a middle schooler with her mother. She let me know that although the K through 12s had period products because they were light liners and cardboard self-insert tampons, she had to miss school because her flow was too heavy. So although we are providing, it is so necessary that we take a moment and remember that this is not a one product fix all for individuals. I was on college campuses at Columbus State, Kennesaw State, Albany State, and Savannah State. Those students, when I had period products, thanked me that they didn't have to skip meals to buy pads and tampons for themselves that day. We've heard about Viagra, also dandruff shampoo and chapstick is not taxed. These are a few healthcare items of thousands that are considered essentials. Before I get into some testimony from some base members, I spoke to my dad before coming here today, and he recalled going to the store to purchase for my sister and I, and how confusing it was that a once-a-month fix could end up being $100 for $2 or more monthly. If you've been in that position, if you have someone you love, you know what that cost is, and you know this is a need. There is no girl in the state of Georgia that should have to bleed through her pants and underwear because she can't afford this necessary healthcare item. So this is a testimony from a mother of 3 daughters. She resides in Albany, Georgia, and she wanted to make sure her voice was heard today. I appreciate you listening. My mental health was affected tremendously. I was in lots of pain due to my period. I have to go to the bathroom often because I have diabetes and have to change my pad often throughout the day. Every 3 hours due to heavy bleeding, and I use bedpetting as well over the cycle of 7 days. I've bought 2 or more packs of pads because even in my driver's seat and where I work, the heavy flow is imminent. I don't know how many times I've had to mess up my clothing due to my period, or had to buy extra stain removers and peroxide to get the blood stain out of my clothing. I was recommended to lose weight or have a hysterectomy. Can you imagine choosing between birthing a child and becoming a mother or having a hysterectomy simply because you can't stop the flow of your periods or afford to keep up with them? I can't, I know you can't, and I hope you consider that when you reevaluate this tax in this state. And this is my friend here.
Good afternoon. My name is Kiera, and I am also a healthcare organizer with New Georgia Project AF. And I will be reading also an excerpt, a testimony by someone who would like their voice heard today. This person is a member of our base and also resides in Albany, Georgia. They are a mother of 3 daughters. It reads, I remember at the age of 10 in 1995, running to my mom, telling her I had ketchup in my panties. She said, oh my goodness, you have started your period. She then took me back to the bathroom to change and give me new underwear and taught me how to use and often change a pad and the importance of keeping good hygiene. She also mentioned a story called The Birds and the Bees that folks would teach their girls when they got their period because she was a young lady now. She taught me how to fold toilet tissue to convert into padding during an emergency in case I ran out of pads. In a house with majority of girls, my mom always stocked up on pads, tissue, and personal items. I can only imagine how much money my parents had to spend on pads and other personal items because I had 2 other siblings that were girls, including my mom, who had to make sure her own personal needs were managed and met. Looking into the future, I knew that me and my sisters would become mothers one day and have to not only buy pads and personal products for ourselves, but diapers and wipes for our babies. I remember having cycles over the years I would bleed very heavy for 7 days to 1 week. My mom took me to the doctor because I was always fatigued, dizzy, headaches, and sleeping a lot, and the doctor tested me and I was diagnosed with anemia. The doctor recommended my mom give me iron pills 3 times a day with food, and my mother would also give me other foods like beets, livers, greens, and other food in high iron. I had to keep this up when I was a young adult, but things would get worse after I became a teen mom and started to birth children. I would have blood infusions often and go to the hospital to get liquid iron injections weekly, and later diagnosed with a blood disorder. I remember as a teen mother on limited income and resources receiving government benefits such as SNAP, WIC, and more. I would give out pads often as a replacement for the pads I would then use for substitution of cloth, toilet tissue, rags, and a little embarrassed to say, I would even use my infant child diaper as survival. I also had to get creative. I would use cloth diapers at home on my child and use regular diapers when we went out to community to stretch and have more diapers to use because funds were limited. As another survival technique, I would sacrifice personal products for myself like shampoo, conditioner, lotion, body wash, oil, and buy more Johnson & Johnson baby products. I remember thinking, I know that this is baby products, but who said I can't use this on myself and my baby? because I didn't have the funds to buy myself personal items. Can you imagine having to choose between buying diapers and wipes for your infant child or pads and period products for yourself? At times when I had to choose, I would choose my child always and use substitution when it came to me. At the age of 19, I made a very poor decision to go into my local Walmart to steal diapers, pads, wipes, and hygiene products as more survival to make sure my family's basic needs were met. I was charged with shoplifting and now have since been expunged. Now that I am a mom with 3 daughters, like my mother before me, I want to use my voice to advocate for others. I stand for SB 51, which would allow for low-income households to use benefits such as SNAP or WIC to purchase diapers and period products. 2 items that are very costly, can be hard to find, and should be considered basic needs. Something that stood out to me in this story, personally, again, as a healthcare organizer in this state, was how often young women are taught to fold cloths and toilet tissue and hand wipes in order to preserve themselves. This is something that is not new. As you heard from the beginning, this woman was by the age of 10 in 1995. This is something that has been going on generationally. And I just think that this is a time to break cycles and to make change. And so we urge you to think about this very closely.
All right, we appreciate your testimony on this. Thank you, and we'll get back with the sponsor. And I do think we got off on some stuff here that doesn't really have anything to do with the tax, but bigger issues. But I also would say, well, this is a hearing, and I think it's probably, you know, we've got all kinds of tax breaks out there. Some are better, some are worse. You know, I don't disagree with that. But I also think the state of Georgia, by providing funding to, you know, let's just say a product's $1, and I know it's not $1, but if it's $1 and they put tax on it's $1.07. So if you get it down from the 7 cents down to $1, that's still tough on those people. That's why we've put it in the budget for our schools, and why we've got money in the budget in public health to help those in poverty to have access to these products. And CVS obviously is, as a corporation, made the decision to drop on 25% and pay the sales tax, which is also so helpful. So it's not like we're not doing anything. I think the poor probably get more help from that than from you know, if it was full price and they're just getting the 7% break. I don't you know, I think they're getting better help. However, I understand your point. I think there's some validity to it. There's a bill on the House side that's identical. That's why you had the numbers from Senate Research, because they got them from the people that were here last week, Greg Griffin's group, Department of Audits, that did a fiscal note on it in December 20th, that gave us those numbers of 6.1 million, and I put it in everybody's folder. So they've got those numbers out there. We'll continue to look at this, as will the House. The House will have some resistance to a bill coming over from the Senate, I can tell you that, but we'll follow the process. Anything you want to wrap up with?
I just wanted to say I appreciate everyone's time today. I want to thank everyone for their thoughtful input on this important issue. This is not a divisive issue. I believe we can all come together on ending the sales tax on menstrual products. My concern is fairness on this issue. I look forward to working with you, Mr. Chairman, and continuing further discussions on this important issue. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you for presenting your bill, and we will stand adjourned at this point, I think. Thanks.